My friends, welcome to this episode of the Outdoor Gear Review. What I have here is the Fjallraven Wind Sack 3. I have had a lot of experience with this product over the last couple of months. In fact, this is the fourth video about this product. The first was a preview. We took a look at the product, we set it up. The next episodes were survival trips with this product. The first one was in the wind and the rain. The second was in the cold, the snow, and the wind. I mean, serious wind. So I've had a lot of experience with this product. I've used it in numerous ways. To talk about what this is an emergency shelter designed by Fjallraven. The company claims that it's good for snow, wind, rain. So let's say that you're out for a hike, you see a snow squall coming in, you can basically unravel this product and pull it over the top of you, and you will be protected from the wind, rain, and snow. You could also use this product as a shelter. You could tie this up, you can use it as a tarp, and so on. There's multiple ways that you could go about using this. Now, unfortunately, as far as an emergency shelter goes, this thing is absolutely terrible. Because I've done the preview already and I've said so much about this product already, I will go through the finer details very quickly and really focus on the review of this product, the pros and the cons in this episode. So let's go over the stats super quick. First off, the price of this is $150. The weight of this is 1 pound 6 ounces. This is the Wind Sack 3. This is designed for up to 3 people to use. There is a Wind Sack 1, there's not a Wind Sack 2, that was discontinued some time back. As you can see, the product is inside of the storage bag, and the storage bag is attached to the product itself. So you have a draw pull at the top, down at the bottom you have this sleeve, and you have this carabiner. Now, I forgot to mention this in the preview, but the carabiner is so that you can attach this product to yourself. Let's say that you're going to unravel this, you need protection from the wind. So you can take this carabiner, you can clip it onto, say, your pants or something like that, and that prevents the product from being blown away. So think of that as a safety measure. The overall form factor of this is very small. So this is the product, this is the Wind Sack. You have a large opening in the bottom, or I should say at the bottom, right? Here's the storage bag. Up at the top here, you have 3 vents, 1, 2, and 3. These are zippered, so when you're inside of this, the 3 individuals can have these open to allow for some airflow. You have tie-off points at both ends, also down at the bottom. You have some reflectors on here. And folks, that's pretty much it. That is the Wind Sack in a nutshell. When it comes to the measurements of this product, you're looking at 64 inches tall and 75 inches wide. And because of the materials, they do stretch some. So those are approximate measurements. Speaking of the materials, this is a 100% polyamide 40D TripleRip Sil nylon that the company claims features a 3,000 millimeter hydrostatic head rating. Before going into detail about this product as far as the review goes, let me show you all how this can be used. So you can take this product, and you can pull it over your head just like this. And then from there, you can stand in it, you can sit down in it, you can do whatever you want to do. When you throw this over your head, it is big enough for 3 people, but let me tell you this, you are going to be extremely close. When you pull it over your head, I refer to that as the body bag. You can also use this as a tarp. The next way that you can use this product is as a shelter. You could string it up at the top, stake it out at the corners, and you have somewhat of a shelter. Now, it takes a little bit of work, but you can even pull the sides away from the individuals who are on the inside. And that is needed with this product, and I will tell you why in just a moment. I've mentioned before that I've used this product in a number of ways, and I have. I've used it as the body bag, and I've also used it as a shelter. Now, folks, let's talk about my experiences here in a little bit more detail. So far, I've filmed 2 adventures with this product. The first one was a wind and rain event. It wasn't very cold, around like 40 degrees, 38 degrees, something like that. Chilly, yes, cold, no. With that trip, I discovered that this product is not waterproof. Folks, this thing is not waterproof. While the water doesn't come through the materials themselves, it does come through the zippers. There are 3 vents, 3 zippers, and unfortunately, water can make its way through those zippers, even when they're closed, even when the storm flaps are fully covering the zippers themselves. Because of this problem, it severely limits the use of this product. The next issue that I discovered on this first trip in the rain was that condensation inside of this is absolutely terrible. With one person inside of this shelter, even with the vents open and a gap at the bottom, the level of condensation inside of this was unbelievable. There was water sheeting down the walls. And while using this product, all I could think about was like, wow, this is not a well thought out product. And I have to wonder, did Fjallraven, when they made this, did they do any testing at all? Did they take this product out? Did they use it? Because if they did, they would not be selling this product right here. This is absolutely terrible on so many levels, folks, and I'm only getting started. Fjallraven, did you all take this thing out and actually test it? I don't think you did. I'm just shocked here. I really am. Fjallraven is a company that I highly respect. They really do make some excellent products, but there have been some misses. I like their pants, I like their clothing, I like their backpacks, sleeping bags. I even like their tents. I can highly recommend a lot of their products, but every once in a while, there's a product where they just completely fail. And this is one of them. This is one of the worst emergency shelters that I've ever seen. I'm not saying that this is the worst emergency shelter ever, but folks, it's up there. I mean, it really is. It truly is bad. Using this product will put you at risk, and some of these risks can be life-threatening. Because of the two issues that I've mentioned already, this is a product that can only be used in very specific situations at very specific times. And that's what makes it such a poor product, because you cannot dictate when you're going to need an emergency product. One doesn't dictate the terms in a survival situation. Think of this, everyone. For a product to be a good emergency product, it has to be quick to deploy. It has to be adaptable, and it has to offer you protection from the wind, from the rain, and from the snow. Folks, let's take a second here and let's talk about why I purchased this product. I am an advocate for emergency shelters. I think it's a good idea to take these on your day trips and also your backpacking adventures. There are times where you will need protection from the elements. Maybe it's a thunderstorm, maybe it's a snow squall, maybe it's some really strong wind. Whatever the conditions may be, whatever the factor is, there are times where you need to get out of the weather. You need to protect yourself from the elements. I've been in plenty of situations where all of a sudden, heavy, wet snow came in, super strong winds, temperatures dropped. It's moments like that where you need an emergency shelter that you can quickly deploy to get out of the elements. A few years back, I was hiking on top of this mountain with a friend of mine. The conditions were nasty, and basically it was just like that. It was getting colder, windier, there was some wet snow falling, and I remember looking over at my friend, and his face was so bright red, and he was just shaking. And that's what we had to do. We had to deploy an emergency tarp and basically get out of those elements so he could warm up. I don't know what would have happened if we kept on going. So again, folks, there are times, even in the summertime, where you need a quick-to-deploy emergency shelter. For myself, I primarily use tarps. I like tarps. They're quick, they're adaptable, and they offer excellent protection. So I saw this product that Fjallraven offers. I ordered it. I got the 3-person version, one for space, and also because I thought Susie and I could use it. I had high hopes that this was going to be like the ultimate survival emergency solution, but unfortunately, it is not. The way that Fjallraven describes this product, it sounds very, very promising, and I bought into the marketing, but I took this out into the field and I discovered that many of the points that the company makes are simply not true. They're not accurate. Talking about the claims that the company makes, let's go ahead and touch upon some of those right now. First off, the company claims this is an emergency shelter for up to 3 people. Only in a very specific situation would that be true. So let's say that you're hiking with 2 other people and you need to get out of the elements for a few minutes. You could take the wind sack, you could throw it over, and once you're inside of this, you will be extremely close to everybody, but you will be out of the wind. Something you have to consider is that once someone is inside of the wind sack, condensation begins to form on the walls immediately. And it doesn't matter if the vents are open or if there's airflow coming up through the bottom. The materials themselves are not very breathable, so condensation begins to form instantaneously. And that's why this is a product that you use for very quick, sheltered moments. 3 persons in a pinch, that's logical. 3 persons inside of this for a long duration event, not logical at all. Next, folks, the company claims that this will protect you from the wind, from the rain, from the snow. So it will protect you from the wind. It will protect you from dry snow, but it will not protect you from the rain. This is a product that simply is not waterproof. So if you take this out into a rain event, if it's anything heavier than a light drizzle, it will leak, unfortunately. The simple fact is this: it does a terrible job at blocking rain. And at the same time, it does a terrible job at keeping the individuals inside of it dry. Not only because it leaks, but because of the condensation issues. As you all saw before, this product does feature 3 vents. Now, how useful they are really depends on the situation at hand. If it's raining, they have to be closed. If it's super snowy and it's flying around, they have to be closed. And then something else to consider is that if you have to have those vents closed, condensation is going to be even worse. I will basically read to you all what the company says here in regards to this product. Lightweight wind sack provides fast shelter from the rain, from the snow, from the wind. Gives portable shelter from stormy weather. Well, only in very specific stormy weather, especially if the snow depth is minimal and digging is not possible. A must when winter touring, but also in the summer when you need a shelter during meal and rest breaks. In the summertime, oh man, I could not imagine using this product for numerous reasons. First off, this product does do a great job of blocking the wind. Also, it holds in heat. So in the summertime, during a thunderstorm, it's leaking rain, condensation's forming on the walls, and you will be sweating your brains out because it will be unbelievably hot inside of this. This is not what you want to use in the summertime, and Fjallraven should know this. I mean, this is just common sense, folks. Now that we went over those points, let's go ahead and start the review. And most of the time, I start with the pros, but in this case, we are going to start with the cons because I want to make this very clear. This is not a product most people should buy. The use case for this product is severely limiting. This thing has a ton of problems, and again, I'm really shocked that Fjallraven offers this. So these are the cons for the Wind Sack 3. The biggest problem with this product, it's not waterproof. So keep it out of the rain, keep it out of wet snow. It simply cannot protect you from wet conditions. The next big problem with this product is condensation, moisture control. It is atrocious with only one person inside of it. I cannot fathom what it would be like with 3 people in it. One person alone releases quite a bit of moisture per hour, over half an ounce of moisture. So imagine 3 people inside of this. It would just be unbelievable. It really would be. When talking about condensation here, the results that I'm talking about are with the vents open and also a nice gap between the bottom of the product and the ground. And also, we're talking about windy conditions. With all of those factors, the condensation inside of this is just unbelievably bad. So there are situations where this will perform even worse. Consider this, folks, because condensation is so bad, as soon as you hop inside of this, moisture begins to form on the walls. So you have to be wearing your rain gear, rain jacket, rain pants. It's the only way to stay dry inside of this. Otherwise, everything you're wearing will get soaked. In my opinion, everyone, that is absolutely unacceptable. I mean, it really is. Let's say that you set this up as a shelter, you have it tied off at some trees, you have it staked down at the ground, you have the materials pulled away. Condensation is still terrible. There's virtually nothing you can do to prevent condensation inside of this. Again, everyone, I cannot begin to tell you, I cannot stress this enough. The condensation inside of this is just insanely bad. It is just super, super terrible. And for a product that's designed to simply just pull over your head to use it as a survival emergency shelter, that's unacceptable. If the conditions are above freezing, the moisture will condensate on the walls and it will rain down upon you in windy conditions. If it's below freezing, all of that moisture will form as ice, and there will be a ton of it. Because of the overall performance of this product, I would recommend setting this up as a shelter only. You need to set this up so that you can have the materials pulled away from you. You do not need them to come into contact with your clothing. Otherwise, you just simply have to have your rain gear on because condensation is so bad. Now, unfortunately, setting this up as a shelter, it's not easy. It takes some time and you have to adapt this product. Before I tell you how to go about doing that, when setting this up as a shelter, I would recommend only 2 people in it. 2 people inside will be very close. One person has enough space to kind of sit down and stretch out their legs. 3 people inside of this as a shelter does not make much sense. There's simply not enough space. I mentioned a moment ago that you have to adapt this product to use it as a shelter, and that's because it doesn't feature enough tie-off points. You have 2 at the top, 2 at the bottom, and that's pretty much it. And that fact alone really limits the use of this product, so you have to create your own tie-off points. What I do to solve this issue is I take either a stick, a rock, I take some cordage, and I put it on the inside of the wind sack. Then I take a slip knot and I go over that ball, over that item, and cinch it. That gives me a tie-off point. From there, I could stake it out, I could tie it off, and I could pull those walls away. So to use this product as a shelter, you have to tie it off at the top, you have to stake it out down at the bottom, and you have to pull the sides away so that you can get these materials off of you, because you have to. You have to get the materials off of you. Otherwise, your life could be in danger. The next point that I want to talk about when using this as a shelter, it is a true pain in the ass to get in and out of. You have to basically pull up one side, and that's not easy to do because of the design of this. And it's this point here that really takes me back to what I said earlier about Fjallraven actually using this product. There are so many issues here, and this is just another issue. This is another problem. I guess like the best way to think about this product as like the world's worst poncho, because that's pretty much what it is, right? Yeah, I mean, that's it. That's pretty much what this is. It's the world's worst poncho. So It basically sits right here on top of your head. You have to hold it, otherwise it will slide around. And that's because of the materials. This is a Sil nylon. It is extremely slick. Does this look comfortable to you? All of the weight is right on top of your head. It's awful. And imagine having 3 people inside of this. Everyone's breathing, sweating, getting wet. It's just terrible. I mean, it really is. With the vents here, you can only use these in the right conditions, because if it's raining, moisture will come through, and that's open or closed. So let's say it was a snowy situation, you would have to turn away from the snow and hope that nothing gets blown through this hole. The next point I've briefly touched upon, and that is heat. The amount of heat that is trapped inside of this is very, very high. So in the summertime, I mean, this would be a sweat bag. I mean, you gotta consider that it blocks wind, it holds in heat. So hot, humid, blocking the wind, even with the vents open and a gap at the ground, it's gonna be stifling inside of this. The last con that I have for this product is price, $150. I tell you what, the performance of this is so bad, it is not worth $50. I mean, it really isn't. The company really needs to go back to the drawing board, because this simply does not make sense in so many ways. It's a waste of money. I mean, it's shockingly bad. The company shouldn't scrap this product completely, because there is a beginning of a good product here, of an excellent survival shelter. But as it stands right now, you can only use this in very limited ways, and overall, it's poorly thought out. Fjallraven, contact me. I will help you develop this product. All right, so I've said a lot in regards to the cons to this product, and you can easily see why this is not a good emergency shelter. Now let's focus on the pros, because there are some. First off, everyone, it is very easy, very quick to deploy as a body bag. You simply pull it out, throw it over your head, and you're good to go for a short period of time. Next up, it is somewhat versatile. You can use it as the body bag, the shelter, or a tarp. Next, folks, the overall build quality of this, the construction, is excellent, and that's what I would expect from Fjallraven. The stitching, everything here is top-notch. Also, the company has used top-notch materials. They are super, super strong. Speaking of which, I have used this in wind sustained at 50 miles an hour, and there's no issues. It took every single bit of that with not a problem. Even with my makeshift anchor points, this product didn't tear or anything like that. Another pro when it comes to the materials is that they're somewhat stretchy. They do give just a little bit. That will benefit you in really nasty, windy conditions, because it moves with the forces of the wind. When you have a product that doesn't flex at all, it tends to rip, it tends to tear. So having just that little bit of stretch to it, that little bit of give, makes this a much stronger product. Also, because it stretches just a little bit, it's easier to set up. There's a little bit of leeway there. So in windy conditions, you're cold, you're setting this up very quickly, you can get something that's usable. If the materials didn't stretch at all, that wouldn't be the case. Another pro for this product, it is lightweight, especially for the size. Also, it's fairly compact, about the size of a softball. With the blue material, this is high visibility. You can see this just about anywhere, in the desert, in the forest, on the snow. High visibility for sure. I mentioned this as a con, but this is also a pro. It does hold in heat. So for cold conditions, that is very beneficial. I've recorded roughly a 10-degree difference between the inside of this and outside. On one of my trips, it was 19 degrees Fahrenheit outside. On the inside, it was right at 30 degrees. The next pro for this, it easily folds up and goes into the storage bag. And those, my friends, are the pros for this product. In the end, everyone, the company has called this the Wind Sack, and that's exactly what it is. That's how I would recommend using it. Use this to block the wind, and that's it. Now, unfortunately, you could do the same with a very cheap poncho. You could do the same with a very cheap tarp. Those products will perform better in the end than this here. This is $150, and the overall performance of this is terrible. The only area where it really shines is blocking the wind, and that's it. But again, folks, a poncho would work much, much better than this. After reading over the marketing BS from the company and testing this product out, I'm left being just extremely frustrated. I'm frustrated with Fjallraven. I'm frustrated with this product. It has so much promise, but it fails in every single way. I don't regret buying this product because it has allowed me to show you all how to use it, how not to, and to do this review. In the end, I don't recommend this. Don't buy this. Don't waste your money on this. Hopefully the episodes that I've done with this product so far will prevent someone from buying this. Hopefully nobody will take this out, and hopefully it won't kill someone, because the performance of this is so bad, it definitely could. If you did not know how to use this 100% correctly, this could cause a lot of problems out in the wild. So again, folks, I just have to wonder, did Fjallraven actually take this product out and use it? There are other products out there, similar to this. I cannot comment on those because I haven't used them. Again, what gives? I mean, this just does not make any sense. It just does not make any sense. To me, it feels like the marketing arm behind Fjallraven was like, oh no, you have to say that it does more than just simply block the wind. It is called the wind sack. It blocks the wind. That's where it shines. But it feels like, hey, throw in that you can use this all year round. Throw in that this is waterproof, blocks snow and the wind. To me, it feels like the marketing arm of Fjallraven just kept tacking on, and tacking on. And all of a sudden, you have a product that is just simply unrealistic. You have a product that simply doesn't perform the way it's supposed to. And much of the claims that the company makes are just simple BS. For an example, folks, the company claims you can use this year-round. Oh my gosh, year-round? They're insane. Absolutely insane. In the summertime, I mean, you might as well use a trash bag because the performance would be similar. I mean, it really would be very, very similar. To me, the company either needs to take this off the market, scrap this, or they need to market it correctly. Get rid of the nonsense, right? So go back to the drawing board, state what this product is, drop all of the other BS, and get rid of it. All you're going to do is get someone killed out in the wild, and I don't want to see that. Again, everyone, over the years, I've spoken very highly of this company. I do respect them. I purchase a lot of their products. Their clothing is excellent. Tents, excellent. Sleeping bags, excellent. But every once in a while, they will have a product that just simply performs incredibly bad. And this is a perfect example. I want to thank you all very much for watching this episode. I do appreciate it. Hit the thumbs up because it does help the channel. You can support here on YouTube or on Patreon. I want to thank everybody who has watched the videos, who has supported the channel over the years, because it is what it is today because of you. The Outdoor Gear Review is agenda-free. I purchase my own products and I review them honestly. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm just simply trying to protect people from bad products like this. Also, I do want to say this. Thank you all very much for those who hit the support button down below. Every single donated dollar goes right back into the channel so I can test out products just like this. No BS, no marketing nonsense, just straight up facts. So everyone, I appreciate you all. Take care, be well, strength and honor. Bye for now. I almost forgot, everyone. Make sure to comment down below and share your thoughts about this product. I mean, this is one of the worst, one of the poorest design products I've seen in a very long time. I'm just shocked. I'm frustrated. Are you frustrated? Comment down below. Bye for now, folks.